Hey there, I'm Bernice Lowe Flowers, and welcome to A Merry Space with Nicee. If you ask people what they really want out of life or what really matters to them, most likely the same answers will keep popping up. They'll probably say, I want love, happiness, money, wealth, and success. Yes, these are likely to be among the top answers you'll receive. Well, I'm going to spend a few minutes chatting with my friend and Manifest on Purpose podcast host, I should say, Kimbaley Williams, about what really matters. Kimberly, it's always good to see you and good to chat with you.
Nicee, how are you? Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. It's always fun when we get together.
Yes.
Yeah. Always fun laughing and chatting.
Don't tell all our secrets.
That's right. That's right. I'm not going to tell everything. Listen, what reply do you receive when you ask someone what really matters to them? What do they say?
A lot of times in today's society, most of what I see, Nicee, is material things, what really matters to them. But looking at it from a coaching perspective, I feel as if there needs to be some shifts around what really matters to us, because when we prioritize those things that really matter, and those are things that can help us and others, then it makes us a better person overall. So there are a few things that made my list for what really matters to me. And I'm going to start off by introducing you to the Tudes family. That's
T. Oh, I want to hear more about that.
Yes, that's Tudes. Mm-hmm. Every word that ends in the suffix tudes means a condition or a state of mind. Mm-hmm. Some of the things I'm going to share is attitude for number 1 and solitude for number 2. I chose attitude. The attitude that we carry in life oftentimes is determined by our mindset, the way we think, the way we perceive the world around us, the way we perceive others, and even the way we perceive ourselves. So I think it's very important for us to first think about our mindset. How do we view the world? Do we view it as a cold, hard place, or do we view it as a great place? And this is important because however we perceive our world, the people in it, and ourselves is what we will live out in reality. That's who we become as a person. So attitude, number 1, is important.
Let's talk a little about that. I'm sorry to jump in, but attitude, let's elaborate a little on that. When you talk about attitude, there's so many different types of attitude we see today. You want to talk a little about that? But it's positive, negative.
Yes, you can look at a person and you can look at a person's attitude and you can pretty much tell what's going on in their mind, the experiences they may have, the places that they hurt at, because it shows up in their attitude, the conditioning of the environment we've been in. Some people you may see that they're always angry. That means they may have had things to happen to them in life that they haven't been able to get through, or they don't quite understand. And this is where you need to reach out to someone such as a therapist or a coach to let them know, hey, I'm dealing with some issues here and it's showing up in my real world, which is saying it's showing up in my attitude. Think about it. People don't just walk around angry for no reason.
Especially, I know you may have noticed this too, that especially maybe sometimes in customer service.
Yes.
I wonder if people, do they really want to come to work? Do they really want to work? You go in, you be polite, you say, good morning, how are you? And I'm not even sure you get a response to say, well, I'm doing fine or anything like that, but just the attitude.
Yes. And what I have learned over the years is that you have to be careful with how you deal with these people, because on the outside, they may look big, bad, and scary. They may have been mean, but it's really a cry for help. So a lot of times when I encounter these people, whether it's in the grocery store, and it's right, it seems like it happens all the time. Instead of me getting an attitude because they have an attitude.
It's all about them.
Yes, I try to understand. It may have been a long shift. They may have gotten some bad news that day. It may be something that they're dealing with that we don't know about. And sometimes just saying, have a great day too, can make them aware that, hey, something may be wrong with me. I was just totally mean to this person that responded very kindly to me.
If someone doesn't address that person's attitude or bring it to their attention, how can or will they change? Maybe they think it's the norm. That's how it should be. For example, you're in the grocery store and somebody may bump into you in their cart and they may give you the side eye and just keep moving. What's up with that?
The sad part about it is a lot of people hold on to things that they don't know that they're holding on to, that creates these attitudes that they don't know where it's coming from. It creates anger inside of them, an internal anger, and they can hold on to that anger for so long that it becomes automated to them. They no longer know that
they're angry. They think it's the norm. So on the positive side, there are those that you run into, people, customer service, or someone is going to give you a nice smile and say, good morning, how are you, and things, and they speak. So there's that difference between the two.
Yes. And those normally are the ones that have the healthier mindset. Even if you do have things that you're going through, being able to know how to balance those things are healthier than holding on to these things and not knowing how to express them or when to express them.
What kind of recommendations you have for that as the health therapist?
It goes to my next top 4. Solitude. When you think about solitude, Nicee, sometimes silence can seem so loud. A lot of people seem to run from themselves when that's the place that they really need to run to first. When you think about religious texts such as the Bible, you hear statements, you read scriptures in there that says, pray, meditate. There's even scripture where Jesus says, step into the closet. Those are leading you to get into solitude. Even when Jesus was tempted, he had to go up on the mount and it was just him by himself. So what it tells me is the importance of solitude, being to yourself. And the reason why that is so important, because a lot of people don't know themselves.
That's true.
Because everything around them is so loud, the distractions. You have social media, you have television, you have radio, movies, magazines, celebrities telling you who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to act, what you're supposed to believe. As children, you have your family telling you their expectations of you. Life is full of a list of expectations. So if you don't take that time to go within and be to yourself, then you'll never understand who you are.
Right. It's so critical to go and look within. Go into your closet and look at yourself within. Sometimes people are just afraid to look in the mirror.
Yes, and that's where they need to be, because those attitudes are coming from something that is already inside of you.
You know, which brings to mind, it all ties into our health, things like, health, how we take care of ourselves, relationships, like you just mentioned, spending time alone, I call it me time. It's not selfish, but I call it me time. Or, even learning something new. These are things that are important to our everyday health and well-being. Now, let's talk a little about health. I'm certain that you will agree that being healthy is the single most important part of our existence. Without good health, our lives can cut short. I didn't take a survey, quite frankly. However, I'd like to believe that many people want, and sincerely, I should say, want to be healthy. And they do take their health seriously. However, many of us take our health for granted until we get sick. When some life-changing problem, may occur, or when our health is at risk. And that's when we go to our doctor because we want him to perform miracles so we can feel better. You should know about that. You have worked in the health field. Haven't you noticed that? That sometimes people don't take the time to really take care of themselves. They're too busy. They're not doing any check-ins with their doctors. And another thing, when we talk about our health, it's a state of our complete physical, which includes our mental, social, and emotional well-being. So I believe it's important to keep all these wellness factors in check and be hands-on. So when it comes to maintaining good health, should I say we should comply?
Yes.
Do what's necessary?
Yes. And I love how you threw that one in, health, right here,
Yes.
because it makes me think about the fact that it's all, a cycle. The body affects the mind, and the mind affects the body. So if you're not consciously taking care of your health, then mentally you're not taking care of your mental health either.
Right.
So it's important to find a balance. And now, as you said, everything is so busy. People feel like they're so
that hamster wheel, we seldom rest, we on the go all the time. I'm a believer that our health is one of the most important things we have, which means that we have to take care of ourselves, especially if we have to take care of our families. And if you don't take care of yourself, you can be of no use, to your family. When we talk about health, it doesn't only mean, as you just say, eating healthy foods only. Of course, we do need a nutritious diet and so on. But for many reasons, why that is so, it can help us to live longer when we eat healthy foods, reduce risk of, should I say, chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and even some cancers. It can also boost our immunity, strengthen our bones, especially for folks who are maturing. I don't want to say getting older, but maturing. Our bones can become brittle if we don't take care of that. Also, eating properly can support our muscles, keep our skin, eyes, and teeth, healthy. All these things, going to the dentist and so much more we need to do. That being said, we should pay attention to our diet because what we eat is extremely important. We depend on, proper nutrients. And like I said before, a well-balanced diet provides energy and keep us energized without getting tired and so on. And to prevent those, eat the proper foods to prevent those energy crashes, especially after lunch, and the sugar cravings. Quite often, we're told to eat healthy diets, But of course, we can cheat here and there and indulge in some non-nutritious fattening foods occasionally. It won't hurt too much. Though medical experts say they aren't good for us, but what's wrong with eating some non-fattening foods occasionally? I know what those nutritious non-fattening foods are. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
Do you have a sweet tooth? Sugar
Yes,
cravings?
I do.
Well,
Sometimes.
I do too. I don't crave them, but I do have a taste for something sweet now and then. Everything in moderation. You know, what is a cookie here and there or a scoop of ice cream? Why not? We have to treat ourselves as well.
I'm a firm believer in that. And what you said is so true. Moderation.
Yeah. But talking about the fattening foods and the sweets and what have you, let's not forget physical activity, which is a part of health. We got to keep moving, if we want to enjoy a healthy life. Exercise, I think, is so important, because engaging in moderate or vigorous exercise, it has immediate and long-term health benefits, especially with the should I say holidays approaching. We have the Halloween coming up with the candies and what have you, and we want to burn off those calories we'll be consuming. um, Thanksgiving is right behind Halloween, so exercise will help to improve and help to burn off those calories. And also, I believe that exercise improves our mood. It lowers our blood pressure, it increases energy, and prevents injuries, and offers so much more health benefits. And something, Kimberly, there are no excuses for exercise because it is free and it is cheap. Think about that. And I say so because if you can't afford to go to a gym or afford, let's say, an annual gym membership, a simple activity like walking works too. Walking is free, 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 free. You can do it in your own time and at your own pace. And, before you know it, you'll lose a few pounds or inches. So, there are no excuses for us to just sit on the couch. We can just get up and move.
What's interesting to me now is there is this, I guess, trend on social media where they're showing, of course, people that are mostly overweight. What they're doing in these trends are they will get like the largest platter of food.
Mm-hmm.
They call it foodies. And they'll sit there and eat this food, and people will watch that. I'm talking about millions of people will sit there
Uh-huh.
and watch this person who is already overweight
Is that for entertainment?
for entertainment. They'll watch them stuff their face. And I mean, they're making noises in it. And I'm like,
That,
why?
that doesn't make any sense.
And so what I'm saying with that is we have to be careful once again with the media intake, because that's a negative influence, because it's now showing people, because when we think about the health problems, the chronic illnesses we talked about earlier, a lot of the ways to prevent those things is through a healthy diet and exercise.
Moderation.
But when you have, and they call people that does things like that influencers, this means they're influencing a population of people to eat totally opposite of what is recommended for us to eat. There's going to be people that's going to start following that. And it makes it seem okay.
But that's not positive influence.
No, it's not.
But when you look at, but when we were growing up, You remember portion control, even if you go to the fast food to get a juice or a burger. It was a normal size. Now everything is what, megas, large size, whatever is it? They call them what, large size,
Super size.
super size, and but even when you look sometimes at commercials, you're watching a television, you may see there's one commercial just comes on here telling you about take this to prevent this illness, da da da. And the next thing you know, they come up with this commercial shortly after, and they're showing you to eat all these things. Sometimes I think it's just contradictory. You're confused. So you have to make a decision about your health, how you want to look, how you want to feel, and how you want to mature so you can live a healthy life.
Nicee, I thought you were talking about the commercial that I was thinking about. It's a commercial, a medication commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And the medication is to lower your blood sugar. But the people that they have starring in the commercial are people that are overweight. And they are telling people, in order to get your blood sugars down, take this medication.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, like, why not promote dieting first?
Healthy eating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And exercise. Take it in. You're not gonna lose. It's all a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not gonna lose the weight 10 pounds in 10 days, something like that. There's no magic in that. But baby steps. That is what people need to see and say, okay, this is how you can lose the weight over time. But we all want quick fixes.
Yeah.
That's what I call them. But in addition to eating right and exercising, like you say, what you saw on television and the mindset of people, it's good to connect with people who and build positive relationships who can help you, say, okay, I can help you, work with you to lose this weight instead of just being on medication all the time. Which brings us to relationships, with our families and friends. Just like eating right and exercising, creating and maintaining healthy relationships are just as important for our mental health. Not relationships with our families only. We should go beyond our borders. We need friends too. We need to foster and preserve relationships with friends who can be there for us and say, I got your back. I can help you. We need those social connections, However, when we're talking about making connections and friends, we must be careful not everyone is going to be your friend. You need to be selective, whether we want to or not. Not everyone is going to say or want to befriend you. They may just want to be an acquaintance, and that's fine too. But we still need to make connections because it's a part of our health and well-being. We just can't stay isolated by ourselves or just stay with our families, because sometimes your family may not be around, they may be ill, or you just don't know. Or you may need someone else as a sounding board, somebody else to connect with. But granted, none of us want to be around people who are miserable and grumpy and ill-tempered all the time. We want to feel comfortable, have that sense of belonging, receive and give support, when we're among our families and friends, So definitely try to sustain relationships that are safe, where our emotions can thrive, I should say. You want to be comfortable. And of course, even though genuine relationships do take time to develop, it doesn't develop overnight. What are your thoughts about that? I think I said a mouthful. What did I say?
You did. And I think, Nicee, you have my list over there.
Really? Well, great minds think alike.
Since you talk about that, that brings up another one of the Tude family members, servitude. Being able to serve others. Everybody, well, I'm not going to say everybody, but
Most people.
most people are afraid to serve others because they're afraid that something's going to happen to them. And it goes all the way back to when we talked about attitude and mindset, how something happened to that person in the past and it makes it hard to trust. It makes it hard for them to forgive. And it also makes it hard for them to be into servitude. And when I say giving is not just giving of your finances. You can serve people in a conversation. It may be that lady that's in the grocery store that needs someone to talk to or someone to just listen.
But what if they're not receptive? Some people are like that, you know.
Yeah.
How you break that barrier? How you penetrate that barrier, I should say.
Well, you have to let people come around in their own time.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. You meet people where they are.
Don't let the actions and attitudes of others keep you from being who you are. So if you feel like the type of person that needs to be in service, and I think everybody should feel that way because everybody should connect in some form of another. If there's a way that you can serve someone else, regardless of whether this person may accept it or not, you do your part. You do your part. And it may seem like you couldn't get through to that person, but that person may come back years later and say, 2 years after you tried to get through to me, I thought about what you said. It doesn't mean that because they may seem to have rejected you right away, that it's not going to be something that won't help them in the future. But we all need to practice being in service for others because I feel like that's one of the reasons why we are put here to be in relationships. And as you said, relationships are so important because relationships are a mirror for us. Relationships, the people that we attract into our lives, help us see things about us that we wouldn't normally see.
Yeah, that's right. As you said earlier, the importance of just being with yourself. And to do that, you have to make time for yourself. Spend time with you. But you realize that spending time with yourself is one of the greatest benefits you can offer yourself.
That's so true.
There's nothing wrong with spending an hour or two in isolation. Just being alone can help you to think clearly, process information, go deep within, and, develop a better understanding of who you are. Sometimes, let's say, for example, a mother may just come home from a hectic day at work and the kids, mommy, 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 mommy. And, she may just want an hour or so to unwind. And, some people may say, oh, she came home and she didn't spend time with her kids. The kids haven't seen her all day, da-da-da. But I think if that parent spends 15 to 20 minutes, I'm not going to say 30 minutes, by herself, just to unwind and process and get herself together. First, you had a hectic day at work. Then you got to think about commuting, whether you're driving or taking public transportation. All that can be stressful, So it's important you take some time out for yourself and don't feel guilty. I think in one of my podcasts, I say, never be afraid to say no. Yeah, never be afraid to say no, just, take time for yourself because the better you know yourself, the more likely you're going to do things that, enhances your life, your family's life, and so everybody will benefit. So I call it rebooting or unplugging to recharge. Just reboot yourself. So that's my little soapbox there about that. So continue on, Kimberly. I'm sorry. You don't have to interject sometimes. We got so much that we can talk about.
No, and I'm thinking about the example you gave. The mother comes home from
Mm-hmm.
working all day and she's stressed out, but she has the children at home. If she can just slip away for a few minutes, like you said, maybe 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
it makes that person a better parent, because when that person comes home from work and they leave that stress and chaos and go right into parenting, what's happening is the frustrations they've been holding all day is now spread throughout the household,
Mm-hmm.
because she's, a little, she's
Whatever going on, boss
hard to
made her
deal with.
angry at work. She
Yeah.
didn't complete a report and she's bringing all that home with her, thinking about it.
She may start snapping at the children or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There may be some children that are saying to themselves, "Mama, please go get 20 or 30 minutes rest."
Yeah, and the same can go for fathers too. They have
Yeah,
stressful lives,
yes,
work environment. So yeah, we're not only saying that mom needs time for herself, dads need time for himself too.
yes,
So it's just
absolutely.
all how you work. It's just humans taking care of themselves, whether you're male or
Absolutely.
female, so, and talking about all these things, making time for yourself, exercising, eating right, it's important that we stay relevant with what's going on around us. I talk about staying relevant and lifelong learning, because continuous learning is important, and it helps us to stay current and up to date, especially with industry trends, technological advancement, especially if you're in the workforce today and you want to remain competitive in the job market. So it's imperative, to develop, skill sets which can lead to personal enrichment. When you think about folks, who may have retired and they're not into continuous learning, you think it hinders them, like say, more matured individuals who retired for a while? What do you see when it comes to technology? Are they afraid, to get on the computer, or are they more proactive with getting on the computers and learning new things? Some may or some may not. Have you experienced any of this?
Yes, but I think it goes back to something that you said earlier, the environment or the people that you place yourself around.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you're around people that are constantly evolving with the technology, then they're there to assist you if you need help.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times these people will, to be able to be around them, they have to learn some of these things. So they pick those things up and they grow from it. But from a retirement standpoint, this is kind of how I see it. I feel like if you've worked most of your life, majority of your life, and you get to that grand time of retirement, you can choose to use it just the way you want to.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Even if it's to learn something new every day,
Yeah.
even if it's you challenge your brain, because it keeps you stimulated, your brain is stimulated. You may want to, sometimes, oh, I wish I knew how to play the piano. Now the kids are grown and they may be off to college. Well, this is your time. You can learn something. You can learn to play that instrument, especially if you've been putting it off for a while, and what's so amazing, you can, while you're challenging yourself, make fun and laugh and learn while you're doing these things. It's don't take life so seriously. You have to be serious, but don't overthink it, I should say. you know just go out there and just try to enjoy your life, make time for yourself, exercise, eat right. And I say the beautiful thing about learning is that once you get it, nobody can take it away from you, regardless of your age. That's a beautiful thing of learning, I should say. Yeah. So, what else
I,
you want to touch on, Kimberly?
I think the beautiful thing about life, just listening at you, one of the most beautiful thing about life is that it gives us time for exploration. And I say that because we all go through different cycles. Like you go through the cycle of young adulthood to adulthood, and you start learning a different part of yourself. And now we're talking about this retirement age, although there are cycles in between. But in this retirement stage, it's just like you have evolved so much that you're learning something new about yourself that you've never learned before.
I like to call it the transitional stage instead of
Yeah.
retirement stage, because you're transitioning to something new, something different, you know. And think about the experience you have acquired. So you're sharing that knowledge and experience too. And you are learning, from people who are younger. So it's all how we all work together and maintain, that bond, how we connect.
It goes back to you talking about relationships and we talking about servitude. That's one way it plays out too. The younger generations helping the elder generation, and the elder generation helping the younger information. Both generations
Have
totally
something to
different,
offer. They're
but
different.
sharing with
They're
one another.
different, but they
Yeah,
have something. So you learn from each other. And that's a
yeah,
beautiful thing, you know. So, well, there's so much more we can talk about, but, we push for time right now, right?
yeah. We got a little more time. Okay.
Okay. So what else you want us to elaborate on, since we have about 5 minutes left here? So you want to continue talking about the importance of solitude, because you've worked with a lot of clients, um, whether it's mental health. Do you know anything you want to share about that?
Well, one of the other things on my list that kind of flows with solitude is you have to have some boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are not in solitude because they're always like doing things that stretch them beyond their boundaries
And why is that?
because they feel pressure from others. They allow, and trust me, you cannot make anybody do anything that they don't want to do. But some people, and you know it because you did an episode on it, just find it hard to say
No.
no.
Is
They
that a
find
fear?
sometimes, I don't really
You
think
want to fit in? What is it?
it could be the fact that they want to fit in. It could be the fact simply that there's the issue with low self-esteem. Have
Yeah,
you
could
ever
be.
thought about the elementary school child that has been bullied over and over again? The
Mm-hmm.
main reason why they're allowing this bully to take control over them, because sometimes you can look at these kids and the one that's getting bullied is way bigger than the one that's doing the bullying. It's because they have issues with their self-esteem
Self-esteem.
and their confidence. Sometimes they don't know how to say no and they get trapped in it. And some people can be so nice sometimes that they just don't want to give a person a no. And some people don't like to hear no. So they don't want to
Those are
say,
bullies.
yeah, because no really is hard for a lot of people. It's hard for a lot of people. It's rejection.
But I believe that when you tell a person no, like for example, if there's something that I know, well, no is going to be my answer, I back it up and say, let me tell you why I'm saying no. And it's up to you if you want to accept my reasoning or not.
Well, I listened to your podcast, and after listening to your podcast, I no longer give an excuse.
Well, you don't give any excuses?
No, because Nicee told me that my no means no.
No,
So if I
your no
say
can't
no,
mean your no can't mean yes.
Because when you give an excuse, sometimes that excuse is not really saying no, it's saying maybe.
Exactly.
If I could have, but I don't want to give them any doubts. I want them
No,
to know
and
that
it
I
and it
know.
takes a while. It takes practice because, as you say, some people just don't know how to say no. Their yeses means no, but they don't say no. They may be stretched really thin. They still take on that task.
But you know what? I found that the common issue is not really being able to say no. Because, see, when a person puts up a fence around their home, it's to keep the person from penetrating the property. It keeps them from getting close enough to enter the home. So when you put up a boundary, you're preventing that person to get close enough to try to cross that boundary. And let me explain it to you
Yes,
kind of
please do.
like, okay,
For our listeners.
yes, for our listeners. This is one of my boundaries. So I don't tell anybody this. So this is just between us, Mary Space with Nicee listeners. Don't tell anybody.
Okay.
One of the boundaries that I had to put up is on my phone. Because if you're not careful, I grew up old school, and my grandmother always taught me, don't accept calls after 9 o'clock.
Right.
She always said that. And so I try not to call people after 9 or accept calls after 9. So what I did is I set certain times in the morning and certain time, like the morning time. I'm not even going to say certain times in the morning. Like the morning time, that is my time.
There you go. Making time for yourself. Go ahead, girl.
And then the nighttime, because after 9 o'clock, I know if anybody, and my grandmother said it, if anybody calls you after 9, it's trouble. And I started to notice that in my life. Whenever I see calls after 9 o'clock from certain people, I knew it was up to no good.
And it happens?
Yes. And I would be like stressed out in the middle of the night about somebody else's problem, and you fall asleep with that on your mind. And so what I had to do is to stop accepting calls after 9 o'clock. So
Good
that's
for
a
you.
boundary. So people know that before they even try to cross anything, before they even try to ask a question, after 9, they already know
The
they
answer.
won't be. Right. So sometimes you have to put up
Sometimes you
borders.
do have to, set boundaries, or, and you're not, like I said, you're not being selfish, but you know who you are, and we're all different.
Yes.
And everybody, but even the people who are calling you at that time of the night, they probably set boundaries, for themselves as well. It's just that you don't know about those boundaries. We all have limits. Boundaries are just limits, perimeters in which we operate.
And that's one of the boundaries. I think one of the boundaries that I think is really important is the boundaries before nighttime. And it's because, well, I call it the subconscious magic hours, because whatever is on your mind or whatever you're thinking about right before you go to bed is what's going to play on your mind that night. And you're asleep. And this thing is just running through your mind, and the subconscious records things that are repeated. So if this thought or this situation is running through your head all night, you may even notice dreams, and it's constantly becoming a problem on you. And it can create a program within you. So when you lay down to rest at night, you should lay down to rest with a clear mind, a clear head, and a clear heart.
Or if not, you carry that over into the next day. And you want to know why sometimes people look tired and stressed out and angry.
Yes, that's one of the reasons.
That's right. You don't know what's good.
That's right. To the bottom of it.
Yes, Kimberly, it's so good, to have this conversation. We've covered, a lot of areas here. We talk about health, we talk about exercise, relationships, making time for yourself, attitude, solitude, and giving back and learning and all these good things. And I'm sure, you'll come back for us to talk another time. We have so many other topics, that we can talk about that are relevant and people think about, you know. And, as always, I enjoy chatting with you. And, that's going to be it for now. And I thank our guests for listening to A Merry Space with Nicee. Until next time, be safe.